Pee-wee hermeneutics.
Anyhow,
Bruh.
season 2.
Season 2, we on?
Yeah, we on.
Oh, baby, we on. What's happening? What's blapping? Don the Blapped is here, 1/3 of the Watch Me Develop podcast. Welcome you to another episode. As you can see, I am not by myself. To the right of me, but not in spite of me, got my brother cousin, John Butcher Jr.
2023, baby. Let's do it.
Let's get it.
To the left of me, fresh to death, as you can see, we got none other than Stephen Joshua Bonds.
I think this was the
What
sound
silent.
effect there.
Okay, yeah. Insert sound effect.
What's up, y'all?
Always Josh. Always Josh. Always. Nah, man, we welcome you guys to another episode, man. We just glad to be here. The Lord saw fit for us to keep the gang together, you know what I'm saying, on Gang WMD, Watch Me Develop.
Oh, yeah, brother.
And so we just hope that you guys will continue rocking with us, and hope you guys enjoy today's shizzo or today's episode, man. So real quick, let's get caught up, man. Let's do a quick check-in, man. What's going on with y'all? What's happening?
Shoot, nothing new to report besides having to cook all day yesterday because my child decided to cut my deep freezer off. So with the help of my father and his kitchen, I stir-fried, I grilled, I smoked all the meats just so that we wouldn't waste any money.
All
So
the meats.
guess
All
who's
the
eating at
meats.
home for the next probably foreseeable week, if not more.
Bro, you better freeze some of that
I'm going to have to. That stir-fry going to have to get frozen.
for sure. For surely.
That just means good savings. You know, when you eat at home,
Being a good steward of what God has
you
given
feel
me.
me?
Sound like the NLT guy. Like,
Life application.
right?
What up with Josh? What's happening with young Joshua?
Man, so within I think New Year's Eve, I told y'all Austin moved in. And
I didn't know that.
y'all didn't know? Okay, Austin.
I did.
Austin moved in on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And moved out 2 weeks later.
Ninja vanish.
Bruh, and within those 2 weeks, I'm telling you, I'll be getting off work late in U-Haul truck pulling up to the house. And I'm like, bruh, all right, I guess I'm helping you now. You know, and then you're gone 2 weeks later? Come on, man. And then a week after Austin moved into the house, CB moved back into the house.
What?
So they just swapped, I guess. So anyways, man, it's cool because the girls get to see their uncles, and it's nice seeing
dope.
having that time with both of them. But, you know, we got a full house right about now. So it's cool. But other than that, nothing much new, man. Nothing much new. We chilling. Everywhere you look.
Man.
What about you, bro? What you up to now?
For me, man, I'm just, making a lot of adjustments, man. As you guys can see, like, I pretty much took the whole, like, first month of the year off from doing any lives or anything. I've just been kind of, like, getting back into the rhythm of it. Because a big part of it was, like, man, okay, why am I doing this? Am I doing this for the right reasons? You know what I'm saying? We who are, I'd say for us, we're kind of in our infancy navigating this social media,
Facts.
the interwebs and internets and all that kind of stuff. And so we're kind of in the process of navigating our way. And I just want to make sure that my motives are pure and making sure that I'm not like trying to just be another talking head that's, in the box, and just really trying to check my heart and make sure that I'm doing things for the right reason. Because there was, going through it last year, pretty much trying to post something every day and all that kind of stuff was like there were some days I didn't feel like posting. You know what I'm saying? There were some days that I was setting out to encourage people, and I was not very encouraged myself.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure that I'm like not putting myself under this like false persona or trying to create a false, some kind of avatar that I'm, presenting to people. And so for me, like once I was able to kind of like sense that, no, I'm like actually missing like, just sharing stuff with people, you know what I'm saying? For no other reason than just hoping somebody will get something from it and maybe learn, along with me. And so I've just been kind of like getting back into that. Of course, being the fact that it's 2023, Big Co is, he's class of 2024, but he's going to be graduating early this year. And so we've been, as a family, have been trying to adjust to making sure that we spend a lot more quality time together and making sure that we enjoy this time. Because it's funny, man, dude. So since probably the last episodes that we've done, even since when he was on the show, he's had more offers. More offers have come in, and some major ones, which, we pretty much, at the time that he was on here, we had pretty much the whole Pac-12 with the exception of like USC, right? But USC came to the table. They told him they saw what he's doing. They want him to come. But since then, also Michigan threw their hat into the mix, man, which was like huge. Just like because for him, he's like, man, I really want to make sure that I'm competing at a legit level, or that I have the talent that these next level, and not just in my region or in my area, that they see that I have, what it takes to be there. And that's what's happened, man. By the grace of God, with what he's been blessed to do, he's being recognized, what I'm saying? And so then also with Michigan came 2 SEC offers, man. And it was funny because he knows, like, as a lineman, he's like, man, SEC always got the dogs as far as linemen are concerned. And he's like, man, I think I might need to go out there and, go to some camps or whatever so I can get on their radar, man. And it was like, I was like, no, I'm gonna bring it to you.
Right.
And so it was just like, man, it's just been amazing to see how God's favor and blessing has opened up for him, man. So he ended up getting Bama and Georgia in the mix, like within 2 days. You know what I'm saying? Within 2 days, Bama and Georgia called him up and said, hey, man, we seen your film, and we want to let you know, man. We want to open the door to you.
The crazy part about it is, if you look, especially at the last maybe 4 to 5 offers he's gotten, if you look at the world of college football over the last maybe decade, those last couple teams have been in contention for the national championship. So Alabama, Georgia, Michigan's been in the college football playoff a couple times here and there. Oregon was in the national championship a couple years ago against Ohio State.
Yeah.
It's like all these guys are competing, and like you were saying before, with the SEC, like those are guaranteed dogs coming out the SEC, like for linemen.
Yeah.
One of the things that Coach Dion had said a couple years ago when he was coaching at Jackson State is like, generally the difference in the factors between like a Division II school, Division AA, Division I, is the linemen. And I texted him the other day when he had announced his offers for Georgia and Alabama. I'm like, dude, the sky is the limit. Like, that is the best of the best in college football right now. Like, not just, oh, good for you, Jericho, a Division I school saw you. Like, no, those are 2 of the best teams in all of college football.
Wow.
So it's just like, my prayer for him has just been like, man, may the Lord lead you in wherever you're going to go, because obviously the choice isn't even going to be a problem.
Right.
It's going to be more so, where's God leading you?
Right.
Because in the same way that he's made your name known to these schools that don't even recruit out here like that. They might get some skill players, running backs, whatever.
That was
Linemen?
that was one of the first things that I want to say it was Georgia said to him. They said, hey, man, so where are you from? Where are you from again? He's like, man, I'm from Suisun, California. You're like, oh, okay, where's that, SoCal? He's like, nah, it's Northern California. He's like, we sit right in the middle, right between Sacramento, right between San Francisco. He's like, they're like, man, we never even knew, you're outside of our radius of where we look for linemen. He's like, man, but hey, we seen what you doing, and you look like you ready to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's just a blessing, man, just seeing how, the word says that your gift will make room for you, man, and bring you before great men, right? And so it's just awesome to see that that's literally, because everybody I explain his situation to is like, it's just a matter of, man, this is only God. Like, he goes to a school that's in the middle of nowhere that nobody knows about, right? That none of these guys are coming to look for you like that. And you're not even necessarily in a winning program, right? Going back in reference to our one of our conversations before is like, you can be in a losing situation and still be a winner.
Facts.
Right? And so for him, everything has been set up. It's almost like Elijah and the prophets of Baal, right? Like where there's no way that this is supposed to work. Like, he's outnumbered. They got all this stuff going on, and it's like, okay, Jericho's like, man, all right, Lord, here's the sacrifice. It's even wet, like, to the point where, like, there's nothing that I can do about it. It's just gonna have to be you. And God has answered by fire over and over and over again. And it's just been a blessing, man, just seeing how God takes literally the nothing and turns it into something.
Yeah.
And it's been the best of the best that have been coming and seeking him out. And it's just been a blessing, man, to see it in him still being able to maintain his humility. It was crazy, the fact that he has a conversation with, Raquel the other day, and, referring back to the fact of us trying to really spend some quality time together. He's like, man, Mom, he's like, this time next year, I'm going to be off to school. Because, like I said, he'll be done in December with high school, because he wants to go to whatever program he ends up going to. He wants to start in the spring so he can get some reps in and be ready by the time fall comes. But he's like, man, Mom, he's like, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back. And it wasn't like one of those things like I can't wait to leave here, I'm never coming back. It was a thing of like,
It's coming to terms.
the next permanent address I have is gonna be my own house. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. Like, just to see that, like, as a parent, it's crazy to see that this thing that I held in my hands, right, is now, like, you know what I'm saying, grown into this thing. Like, literally, I've watched this dude develop into this, like, phenom. And it's just crazy, man. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to see. And I'm not like, it's funny, somebody asked me, like, are you sad about it? I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm not, man. It's like, it's scary, but it's exciting to see, because it's like, I just know, like, I can't tell you, I can imagine how an eagle sees, like, when one of its eaglets gets ready to fly and leave the nest, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, this is probably the closest thing that I would experience to that, is like seeing, him leave and knowing the fact, like, there's no doubt that once he opens his wings that he's gonna fly. And so, yeah, it's a crazy situation, man.
Exciting times, man.
And it's right around the corner for y'all, because I remember when my kids were you guys' kids' age. And it was like, it literally, without being cliche, it seems like it was yesterday. But that time goes by quick.
Yeah.
Shouts out to Sam Hernandez. I remember being at his son's middle school graduation. He's now graduated from high school. And he's like, you'll be here. And before you know it, you'll be here at middle school graduation watching Mariah go across the stage. I'm like, bro, chill out. Like, at the time, I think she was like 3. But, yeah, man, it's going fast, for sure. Exciting times, man.
Bro, time be flying. I be doing all, like, little mind games with myself sometimes in regards to the time. And it's like, I have very vivid memories of being 6 years old, Pop's wrapping us up in a blanket and swinging us around, you know what I mean? It's like, dang, and here I am, 31 years old. I felt like it went like that. It's like, if I do that again, I'll be 62. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But I want to ask y'all a question in regards to time, real quick, while we on the topic and how it flies. So Soul's been having, like, these. She's a dreamer. 100%. She got that.
Shout out to the dreamers.
Shout out to the dreamers. Very, very vivid. Like, she wakes up in the middle of the night and she's telling me everything, giving me an account. I'm like, all right, go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Go back to sleep. We can talk about this in the morning, right? And it's so serious because she also has, nightmares too.
Yeah.
And one night, this is about 6 months ago, it was so serious. She prayed. We were praying one night and she said, God, please just don't give me any dreams at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, no good dreams, no bad dreams, no nothing. I don't want any of it. 4.5, right? So that's how serious dreams are and how vivid they are for her, that she at 4.5 was asking God, like, I don't want these no more. So I've been kind of working with her on that. But
Josephina.
Right. But she woke up in the middle of the night the other night, said she had a dream we were eating bugs and crying about it. And she was like, we was eating bugs for dinner and everyone was crying. And she was like, Dad, she was like, what are dreams? Why do we have them? Where do they come from? What are these? Like, I don't even remember going to sleep, but I was there. And then I woke up here in my bed. Like, what are these? So, told her, Dad has dreams too. And I told her back then, I was like, dreams aren't bad. I was like, God gives dreams, they're not bad. Not all dreams are bad. I was like, but we can look some stuff up in the morning and we can see about it, right? So we look up a few YouTube videos about dreams. And, they're giving all the scientific reasons for dreams. And at the end of it, the guy says, but no one really knows, what dreams are, but this is one thing we do know. It said by the time the average person is 75 years old, they would have spent 25 years asleep. And I was sitting back, and as I was coming out, I'm kind of like fact checking. I'm like, is that right? And I broke down the day, into thirds, right? 24 hours, 8 hours sleep, right? 8 hours at work or school, and then 8 hours doing whatever it is for free time.
That would make sense, yeah.
Well, that would make sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which means, as it relates to work and school, like 2/3 of our life is almost already accounted for. From sleep and work or school, right? So it's like, my question is, how much more important are those 8 hours, to really make sure we're driving our life in the direction that we want to go? What do y'all think about that? What are y'all thoughts?
Good question, sir.
Well, I think of when you're saying the sleep, because I know for a fact I don't do 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
I know for a fact. So I don't know what my
what your breakdown
of years would be.
Yeah,
but
one no.
But no, I would say that it's definitely important, because I think there's a difference between sleep and rest, right? You know what I mean? And so, rest definitely, I would consider that to be vital for us to be re-energized and rejuvenated from the work that we do. But then here's what's funny. I was telling JR earlier, I was in a strategic planning meeting earlier this week at work, and one of the questions that arose was, out of your work day, what percentage between 1 to 100 would you say is just meaningless, aimless, purposeless, conversation? Like basically you just catting off and you're not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And so that number fluctuated with everybody, but she was like, okay, well, let me ask what you think that percentage is organizationally, not just individually, but organizationally. And so that kind of, if we kind of look at ourselves and look at our life as a whole, like holistically, on average, like you said, it would be 70. What would you say? By the time you're 75, 25 years of that would be
sleep,
attributed to sleep. But all of us, we don't, even when we're supposed to sleep, we're not. Like, especially with the creation of like technology and so much information and stuff and entertainment at our fingertips. How many of us, like, we be so tired when we're like at work or during our working hours, but when it's time to go to sleep, we like find ourselves busy doing
Scrolling,
Netflix,
Netflix,
right? Doing stuff,
YouTube, yeah.
watching or trying to binge watch something. You know, we're so engulfed in that, and so I'm wondering what that or how old that statistic is, because right now I guarantee you it wouldn't be nowhere near 25 years worth of sleep.
Right.
And so when I think about it, I wonder, you know, you bring up the whole thing about soul dreaming and stuff like that, and then JR's reference to Joseph, right, is I wonder, like, when we look biblically, like, how long were people sleeping back then? Because they didn't have the same, you know, schedule or hours in a day that we did, right? Or they didn't operate in the same system of hours that we did. So I'm wondering, like, how long were they sleeping?
Yeah.
You know, definitely there were a lot less distractions. You know what I'm saying? And then here it is, we see that, like, you know, I don't know if Joseph was constantly dreaming. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was, like, dreaming all the time. But we do know that dreams had a significant impact on his life.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think that in part of that rejuvenating and that rest that we get or that we're meant to get, I think that there may be something to that, because we know the enemy of our soul is constantly seeking to distract us from the purpose that God has for our lives, right? And so why not devise you know, schemes and plans that would disrupt and keep us from receiving the sleep? Because I honestly believe that, you know, it's almost like God has a captive audience if we're in a sleep state and we're resting like we're supposed to. You know what I'm saying? So I honestly believe that is definitely a line of communication that we can get, in that when we're awakened from whatever it is that we're dreaming from, that, you know, we are to pray about that and seek God about it. I mean, think about your dream of Ergo Dog.
Yeah.
Right? It was a dream. Your dream for Butcher Media Design. It was a dream. It's something God inspired, something God breathed. And so I'm sure you've probably had actual, like, dreams about it, and seeing yourself functioning and operating in the capacity that God designed and purpose for you to design, to operate and function in. And so in our awake status is, I believe that we're supposed to seek God out and ask for further instruction, and because we don't always remember all of the details, but we even with vivid dreams, we don't remember all the details, but there's like breadcrumbs that are left, that we, you know, bring those pieces to God and be like, all right, Lord, show me how to put this together.
Yeah, for sure.
Give me a question one more time.
It was more so like just on thoughts, because even with that, you know, breaking the day up into thirds, right? Not everybody sleeps 8 hours, but then also too, not everybody works 8 hours. Like, I got a family that's working 12-hour days, 16-hour shifts. You know what I mean? So how much more important does the 8 hours, you know, of free time, if you were to break it down, say 16 hours were split between sleep and work, you know, and then you have 8 hours of free time in the day. You also have to account for drive time. You also got to account for the mindless scrolling. You got to account for eating your meals and whatever other distractions, you know, that you have, or even obligations that you have. So I guess really in regards to organization, like, how important is it for you to make sure that you are maximizing those 8 hours out of a 24-hour day?
I think for me, the most part, one of the lessons I've learned from my parents is it's a biblical principle too, is that there's a time and place for everything. There are going to be some seasons where you're going to have those 16-hour days. There are going to be some seasons where it's like, hey, during the season, not that you're able to coast, but I don't have to work as hard to get to a certain point.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, whether you're working 16 hours a day or you're working 4 hours a day, is that you're making sure that every moment is accounted for. Now, if you want to give yourself a time for leisure, a time for just having fun or just chilling out, then set that time. Because before you know it, what was supposed to be an hour of you scrolling turned into 4. And so I really don't think that even our leisure time has to go unaccounted for. Like, there are certain days where you're burnt out and it's just like, I don't feel like doing nothing today.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are things that you can do to better yourself. Like, at the same time, like for me, since last year when we had took EHS, has been really protecting our Sabbath. At the same time, though, where it's like, man, make sure you don't do anything, make sure you don't do any work. I realized too, I still got to get up. I still got to read my word. I still got to make sure I pray. I still got to make sure I get stuff done, because ultimately I'm not just trying to put myself in the position just to veg out. Like, there's a difference between you just vegging out, just to veg out, and you giving yourself intentional rest time. The same time too, like where Donald had said earlier about there's a difference between you sleeping and you getting rest. Like, I've heard people say like, all you need is like 3-4 hours. All you need is like 5 hours. I'm like, but are you really truly getting rest? Like, if I know I got to be up at 6 a.m, it'd probably be a good idea for me to go to bed at like 9 o'clock or something like that. So I can make sure that even if I don't go straight to sleep, I'm at least giving my body rest. And that's being intentional with that. So it's just like, your intentional hours don't just happen during the hours where you quote unquote work. Your intentional hours can happen even in leisure.
Yeah.
Like, I'm making sure that when me and my family are on vacation, all these other things are accounted for. Because in my world, I could be off and still get phone calls.
Yeah.
Or I can be off and still get, hey, something broke down. We don't know how to fix it. A part of that during my work time is let me prepare myself for this leisure time later on. You know what I'm saying? Rather than it's just being like work, and then my leisure time is just me being burnt out. That's not being intentional.
How many works was that?
Lots of works. That was at least 20 hours of works. But you guys get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can account for each and every valuable second of your day.
Yeah.
The time you set aside for God, the time you set aside to have Sabbath during the day, the time you set aside to be with your wife, the time you set aside to be with your kids, like, all of that can be set aside and accounted for. Like, even to the point too, I had to explain this to family members where I've been a real stickler about schedules. Because it's been like, hey, on the 24th, we're going to get together and have breakfast. And they were like, why are you being so like you're trying to put me on a schedule? I'm like, I am
Because
trying to
you
put
are,
you on a
yeah.
schedule because I want to be intentional about spending time with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not that like I'm so busy that I have to just force time for you. It's like, no, I love you. I want to make sure I make that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's just my thought process of it. Because, again, different seasons come, and that's how it's supposed to be. Like,
Yeah.
some seasons you're going to have to till the ground.
Yeah.
Other seasons you're going to be reaping. So it's
Yeah.
just like,
It's funny that you said that about the scheduling thing, because it's almost like with with technology, right? In the direction things are going, it seems like things that used to mean something, like, are starting to lose their meaning or their significance. Like, for instance, like back in the day when you had an appointment, a doctor's appointment, like, it used to mean something. Like, you have a doctor's appointment. Now it's like, well, do you want us to just talk to you over the phone? Or,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
how sick are you?
yeah, should you really come in? Like, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, I wouldn't be calling you if I didn't think it was important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I want to be seen. Like, no, you need to see this thing.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? For yourself. And it's like, it's almost funny that somebody would like, well, why are you putting me on your schedule? Like, you know what I'm saying? But as you're explaining it, it's like, man, I know for me, I would feel important, you know what I'm saying, for somebody to put me on their schedule, to schedule me in to their time and into their day. And it's just like unfortunate, man, that like relationally we're kind of as a culture are kind of like becoming more and more disconnected.
Yeah. I mean, because even like to y'all's point, it is important to be put on someone's schedule, because at the end of the day, like, none of us, we all have a finite amount of time and we don't know how much time that is.
Right.
And time is flying like this, you know? And like, when it comes to being intentional and organized, which I'll be the first to say that's something that I really need help with and I really need to work on. Lord knows.
Me too.
But it's
All of us.
it's a really, really important skill because that's how we bring, you feel me? Everybody has the same 24 hours, but it's like we can bring it with organization. We literally can multiply our time like the bread and the fish. You know what I mean? Because the reason why I was thinking about that is we have unique schedules, right? We all have very unique schedules, but there's a lot of people out there who right, are getting their, 8 hours or whatever, aren't getting their 8 hours, or they're spending 16 hours of work and they're at a job that they do not enjoy, right? Or they're doing something that they do not like doing. They're doing it out of obligation. Like, I have to be here in order to pay these bills because I have so many people that I'm responsible for, and they only have 4 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours by the time they get home to do something with, right? And there's the broad that what most people do with their leisure time. Think about, on a weekend, out partying, out binging, on whatever it could be. You feel me? Just spending their time frivolously. And it's like, if you think about it, and you look at it at the end, like, man, I'm 75 years old, and 50 plus years of that was spent doing something that was not a part of my dream. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't what I actually wanted to live to do. It's like, man, you would want to, rather than just drift down the river of life, grab the oar and direct, you know what I'm saying? And be like, I'm actually going to be intentional about this, and I'm going to make something of my free time on the weekend, every day, you know what I'm saying? To make sure that when I get to be 75, I'm where I wanted to end up. You know what I mean?
You know what's interesting, you bringing it up, because I kind of come from like two schools of thought, right? Like, me personally, I want to be able to provide for my family, but I also want to love what I'm doing. Like, that's just my generation.
Absolutely.
Generation.
Yeah.
At the same time, I grew up with my grandfather. My grandfather spent almost 25, 30 years working for CDCR.
Yeah.
So much so now that he's retired, his benefits are like out of this world. His pension out of this world. He's able to have a home not only for him and my grandma to stay in, but he's been able to provide a place for the rest of his family to stay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when I look at what he did, the sacrifices he made all those years, and then him being able to reap those benefits on the back end, I look at it like that, and I think about like what you're saying. Because I always try to look at situations like all the way around, like
For sure.
from my perspective and like what it'd be for somebody else's. And it's like, my grandpa comes from the era of you do what you have to do to get to do what you want to do. And so seeing that, like, him, like, my grandma's had like a lot of surgeries later in life. She had to have a major surgery. She had a kidney transplant. She had all these different things. And like, they didn't have to pay a cent.
Wow.
And it's just like, that's because of the sacrifices that, my grandfather had made. And so it's just like, okay, do I think that my grandpa maybe had dreams to, I don't know, he wanted to be a teacher. He wanted to be a coach. He wanted to do all these different things. Yes, I do think that I haven't had a chance to talk to him about it. But at the same time, I think a part of his fulfillment as a man and as a father is like, I'm able and was able to provide for my daughters and their children and their children's children.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about anything for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think my biggest question, even in the midst of us having our dreams, is are we chasing just the dream, or are we chasing fulfillment?